Genevieve?
I think she's talking about Dr. Allen.
Oh, do you have Dr. Allen now? She's the director of the social work program.
Do you
So,
want her number?
yeah, she'll hook you. She gets you in there pretty good and quick and fast, doesn't she?
Yeah.
So yeah, she's your advisor. Let me see here. Gosh, I don't know where else to find you guys. Yeah, because she's registering everybody right now. I don't know why. All right, so, and we have that Paper Tigers movie we just finished on Monday. And you guys could still turn it in. And then we're doing parenting styles now too. So yeah. Oh, is it really about mine? That's if it's mine, you can ask me.
So for hbse, posted a discussion tomorrow for more. It's called humanist theory.
Shit.
Yeah, we do know.
Okay. And people have already started writing in it.
No, nobody can start.
Okay. Okay. Obviously that's a mistake, so that's good. Let me see if I can. So hbse. But then there's another one that's due like next week, right? Because this class is human behavior in the social environment. So you are actually in the right class. Let's see here. So if nobody's written in it, that's good. As I see, I have one due March 4th, unpublished. So let's see. Hey, it gives you guys a week off, right? Since it was my mistake, I'm just going to unpublish, and then you can do, it's the parenting discussion. That's the one that I meant to do next. That's due March 11th. Nature versus nurture is March 19th. Is that the next one? Because you just had the Paper Tigers reflection due Monday or yesterday anyhow. So, so I unpublished it. Thanks for letting me know. I didn't mean to do that. So I'll give you guys a freebie. Unless if you really want to copy and paste your post from the last discussion and get more points, but I usually end up curving stuff anyway. So instead of that, we'll have this as the next discussion. So it's parenting styles. Hello. And let me actually get into this thing here, because I hate when it makes it hard to move these.
Hi, my name is Jake Bernales.
No, we're not going to do that one. So parenting. So you all register this week? Is that part of the case? Is it like this week and next for? Yes, there's a parenting style quiz. I was looking for a better way to describe this to you guys. So often we have people pick their parenting style, which is what you grew up with, and also what you think you'll do as a parent, which is kind of the discussion. So a lot of us, I'd say most of us grew up with one of these styles of parents. So there's 4. And I know I've gone over them, but to understand them, sometimes we go over them a few times. Authoritative, which is supposed to be the highest in warmth and the highest in control, but kind of strict parents kind of telling you they discipline with guidance. They have open communication. A little less warmth here, but still high in control, is authoritarian, like strict, inflexible, high expectations, punishes rather than disciplines. Actually, I feel like my parents are more like that. They would punish instead of discipline. They call it the tiger mom. Then you may have the permissive parents. And if you didn't have one of these types of your friends may also have a different type of parent. So sometimes you liked hanging out at houses that they had the different type. Permissive was nurturing, affectionate, few or inconsistent boundaries, and then takes the role of a friend rather than a parent. Uninvolved parent, they're emotionally detached, sometimes self-absorbed. You guys ever get sick of these masks? When do you think that mask will be over? I know. I want this summer, hopefully. Yeah, because they have, some of us are getting bacterial infection from wearing the mask. Like if you wear the same mask over and over, which I do a lot, you can absorb bad bacteria and get bacterial pneumonia and bacteria. So you just got to be careful and like wash them. I'm bad about doing that. I'll wear the same nasty thing because I'm tired of it, but this one might be clean. So here's some videos kind of breaking down the parents. Parenting style quiz. I thought this one was good because there's actually two that kind of explain it well. So, and they use like old shows, which I think is appreciated. So let me see if this works. Can you guys see that? And is it big enough? So this is how you can figure out what kind of parent you will be, or even what kind of parent.
Harry and Cindy Wormwood lived in a very nice neighborhood, in a very nice house, but they were not very nice people.
We had a wagon like that. It was wood paneled though.
The Wormwoods were so wrapped up in their own silly lives that they barely noticed they had a daughter. Had to take care of her. As time went by, morning until his older brother Michael went to school. Her father and her mother took off to play baseball.
Is it loud enough for you guys?
Until he was left alone. One night, she got up her courage and asked her father for something she desperately wanted. A book? What do you want a book for?
To read.
To read? Why would you want to read when you have the television set sitting right in front of you? There's no gift to a book. You can't get to a television. She saw that whatever she needed in this world, she had to get herself.
What type of parents do you think those are, if you've memorized them yet?
I think the emotional detachment.
Hey, how my best girlfriend?
Uninvolved.
George.
Hello, sweetheart. Welcome to our home. Just want you to know, if you need anything, don't be shy, okay? There are no rules in this house, not like a regular mom. Cool mom. Right, Regina? Please stop talking.
I make you girls something.
Hump day. What kind of parents do you think that one is?
The how to be a friend.
Yeah, the permissive parent. I think so too.
I don't like how you're treating the children.
Look, I'm not going to let our kids go down the wrong path. But if you have a better idea, I'm all ears.
Okay, maybe you could be a little less strict and a little more loving.
She's like,
Okay, Kitty. Enough with the sarcasm.
Oh, no, honey.
Yep, he thought he could sneak out.
So, what now, Ho Chi Minh?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Playtime is over. Your friends are no longer allowed in the house.
Wait, what?
No, we'll talk about it in the morning.
Fine. We'll talk about it in the morning. We'll talk about how your friends are no longer allowed in the house.
So they may be two different kind of parents.
This is for his own good. Look, in order for Eric to be a happy, well-adjusted adult, he has to be miserable now. That's just good parenting. If I was to be Mr. Nice Guy now, do you know what would happen to Eric in a few years? Do you? Oh, Eric! Breakfast!
There's my sweet little baby boy.
Why didn't I discipline you?
Good job, Major Cornflakes.
That's what. Never surrender, Kitty. Never retreat. We're winning. The fact that Eric was desperate enough to climb out his window shows that everything is working. You hear that?
I don't hear anything.
That's right. Nothing. That's the sound of discipline.
No, that's the sound of jail. This house used to be fun until you made it miserable.
Well, I'm sorry, Kitty, but I think it's working.
Oh, you do?
Yes, I do.
Oh, you do?
I just said I did.
So if you had strict parents, they might have been like that, or if you had friends with strict parents, which one do you think that is?
There goes. My science grade was an F, and Kimmy changed it to an A.
I'm just guessing she doesn't have the authority to do this.
I'm sorry, but with work and all my other classes, I didn't have time to study for my science test.
Then you should have come to me and told me what was going on. TJ, we had an understanding. You wanted to be a responsible adult, and this is the least responsible thing you could have done.
I just wanted to prove that I could earn my own money.
Well, that's all out the window now, because you're going to have to quit your job and no hanging out at the mall until you pull up that grade.
Okay. I guess I'll go back to being a kid again.
Teach. There's nothing wrong with being a kid. You should enjoy it. You got the rest of your life to be an adult.
Well, I guess if being an adult means wearing a red mop on my head, I could handle being a kid a little longer.
In case I forgot to mention it, you're a pretty great kid.
Thanks, Dad.
Now, remember when I spent the night at Jeanette's house a couple of weeks ago?
Yes, I do.
Okay, well, I didn't really spend the night at Jeanette's. I spent it at Tommy Watkins.
You what?
Mr. and Mrs. Watkins call us and tell us about it.
They're on vacation.
They were.
You spent the night at Tommy Watkins' house and his parents were not there?
Yeah. We didn't do anything. Mom, are you angry?
Oh, no, I'm not angry. I'm mad. At least I want to talk to you.
I was kidding. I was kidding. I spent the night at Jeanette's. You can call her mom and ask her. It's a joke.
I think that what we have to understand is that we're going to get angry. But what we're hoping for is that you all would still come to us if you have any problems, as opposed to going to other people. We love you. And I don't think that anybody can care for you with the love that we have. No one cares more than your mother and me. Okay?
Well, I am certainly glad we had this little talk.
Yeah.
And now I'm going upstairs. I'm gonna call Jeanette's mother.
I was kidding.
Which one do you think that is? Let's see if these are all the shows that I grew up with too. Maybe they played them while you guys were growing up. They might have been reruns. The last two, which one do you think on this quadrant it was? I think so. I think that is, yeah, this guy.
I think one was the order and the other one was the order.
I think you're right, yeah. So that sometimes that causes a divorce too. Like if you have two parents that can't get on the same page, sometimes it doesn't, they just kind of roll with it. So that's just, or they go to counseling for it. So
And I think the Cosby Show, I think they was the authority.
I think so. Exactly. So now there's like 2 or 3 more, I think, if I remember correctly. Is it not?
So, CEO, where's Bergen? November 17th. But it's Christmas. Oh no, it's too late. It's too late. Oh, watch this move. Jill takes the kick off. She has 1, 2, 3 defenders. He breaks into the open field, but 95-yard touchdown.
That could have some mental illness in there. And probably, as you guys are looking at them before, here's the list just so you can have like, is that okay? It almost reminds me of the movie called Hillbilly Elegy. I don't know if any of you guys have Netflix. I don't, but I think you can watch the movie Hillbilly Elegy on Netflix for free. And that's actually set around here. So it looked like that one, the last one we just watched, the parent was low in warmth and low in control. Probably. She looked a little self-absorbed, kind of just like smoking her cigarettes, maybe drinking. What's that? I think so. I mean, I know some of these are a matter of opinion. You prove your case, but they can help with writing your next discussion too.
I've got every girl on the bleeding staff voting for you.
All right, where is it? Why haven't they found it?
Veruca, sweetheart, I'm not a magician. Give me time.
I want it now. What's the matter with those twats down there?
For 5 days now, the entire flipping factory's been on the job.
Make them like knights.
Come on, you girls, put a jerk in it, or you'll be up your ears, every one of you.
You promised to have it the very first day.
You're going to be very unpopular around here, Henry, if you don't deliver soon.
It breaks my heart, Henrietta. I hate to see her unhappy.
I won't talk to you ever again. You're a rotten, mean father. You never give me anything I want. And I won't go to school till I have it.
Veruca, sweetheart, Angel.
I have no idea what that one is actually.
It's not on the list, but I feel like he's one of those parents that spoils their kid. Basically, the child is one of the parents.
Yeah, yeah. So it's almost like a mixture between, like you said, giving them too much, like taking care of them too much. A little bit of permissive, because yeah, there's no boundaries if she's yelling at him what to do. So that's a unique one, actually. I don't even know what movie that is. Do you guys know what movie that's from, or is it from a movie? So this is starting to get before my time, which is like the 70s and 80s. But good examples, because you don't have as many shows like this anymore.
Hi, Abby. Hey, guys. Mom, can I ask you a question? Sure. You trust me, right?
Why?
Just jump to something being wrong. I just want to know if you trust me.
Yes, I trust you. Why?
Okay, just hear me out. I want to throw a completely safe, alcohol-free after-prom party.
Bridget.
In a hotel, it would end at dawn.
What?
So that kids could drive home in daylight after eating breakfast, most important meal of the day.
No.
Oh, come on, I'm responsible. Do you have confidence that you raised me right?
No.
Don't you think this is one of those opportunities for me to prove what a responsible person I've become?
No. Bringing the car home with a full tank of gas or not letting the house burn down when you make a grilled cheese sandwich. Those are opportunities.
Well, can't we just discuss this a little bit more?
No, there is absolutely no way you are throwing or attending an after-prom party at a hotel.
Oh, my life is so unfair. My life is so unfair.
Can you believe her?
Don't you think it's a little hard on her, Kate?
No. I think I was just hard enough. That's what they need to save them from this.
I don't think she needs all that much saving. I mean, she's a really good girl.
Yes, she is. She's also a teenage girl. And I was one, and I know what they're capable of.
I don't know what show that is either. Did you guys have after prom parties? Really? Did they go okay, or are they like not a good example like they're trying to tell us? Shoot, is it playing again? In a second, we're going to get into what parenting style is best for children, because there's a lot of different opinions on that too. Maybe I should throw it out to you guys first. What do you think is best for children developmentally as we're moving through this developmental stuff? And we'll get to adolescence soon, like teenagers. But what do you think is best? I'll put them back up again so you can see them. What parenting style do you think is best? And which one were you brought up with? Which I know is kind of your discussion, but now I'm curious.
I think me and all my siblings are different. So I would describe my mom as authoritative and authoritarian. And the reason why I say that because I want to use me and my brother after me as an example. Me, I'm more responsible. Like my mom doesn't really have to tell me like what to do or anything. I'll just come to my mom like, talk to her and she'll let me know like I was wrong for it. Now my brother on the different end, he's like a hard head. So my mom would like tell him like, you're not supposed to do that. Okay, you're gonna get a whooping this time if you do it. You can't do that. So
Is he younger?
yeah.
Do you think they parent boys and girls differently, or?
I think they do.
How about you guys? What do you all think? What? Oh, you had authoritative. They would like talk to you about stuff instead of like grounding you, taking away all your phone, internet, and TV. Okay. I know. I feel like mine was more authoritarian. And I don't know, like, which one is best. Like, I feel like sometimes with boys, I don't know. Like, you hate to separate it, but maybe because they mature less quickly. Like, you almost have to go authoritarian sometimes. Like, you balance between the two. You can give the authoritative, but if they're not listening, you gotta drop the hammer on them. I don't know. But, and that could differ with like not just gender, but even race, even religion, just different things that come into play. Even the community that you live in, you know what I mean? Like it might not be perfect or safe in different communities even. So I don't know. Which one do you think? Were you or your parents? Kind of the high in both. And noticing that theme, it seems that like, did any of you notice any friends that had either permissive or uninvolved parents? And did they make it to like finish high school or go to college? But do you notice any other challenges with the way they were brought up, or it didn't really like? Right. Yeah. And that's kind of the stuff I've noticed. That's why I wanted to get into this video on like the opinions on which style is best. There's still kind of differences with boys and girls a little. This is South Australia, so they're going to have an accent again.
Hello, I'm Jodie Benvenist, a psychologist and a parenting author, and I help parents get to the true heart of parenting. In this video, we're going to talk about parenting styles and which parenting style works best for children. We know from research that parenting is really important for children's outcomes. In fact, the neuroscience literature really shows us that the relationships our children have when they're growing up and their environment have a big impact on their growth and development. We also know from research that there is a parenting style that is best for children. We can actually divide parenting styles into 4 main categories. It might be that you use one or more of these different parenting styles at different times, but you also might have a dominant parenting style that you rely on, particularly if your child is stressed.
It's interesting. She said if you're tired or stressed.
The authoritarian parenting style offers children lots of structure and boundaries and discipline. Children who grow up with the authoritarian parenting style can be quite obedient, but they can also lack self-worth and not necessarily have great well-being. And that's because this parenting style can be a little bit too harsh and lack a bit of warmth and love. The authoritarian parenting style doesn't allow children to make their own decisions. Parents really want them to obey, to do as I say, because I told you so. They tend to focus more on punishment than guiding and teaching their children good behaviour. They can also parent based on their mood and can fly off the handle rather than parenting based on the situation or what their child's done. And at school, they can have really high expectations of their children, but sometimes they don't really offer the love and support the children need to do really well at school. With the authoritarian parenting style, children might be obedient and they might do what you say, but they also might fear you, which creates a disconnect between you and your child and isn't based on that loving relationship that we really want to have with them. Authoritarian parents don't always take into account their child's temperament or their child's stage of development. So they might have unrealistic expectations of their behaviour. They might expect a 5-year-old to do something that they're not capable of doing until they're at least 12. Then they may punish the child because they haven't done what they've asked them to do. But really, that child does not yet have the developmental skills they need to be able to do what their parents ask them. With the permissive parenting style, it's almost the opposite of the authoritarian style. So parents who are permissive are very warm and loving and affectionate, very responsive to their children, but they don't always provide the guidance and the structure and the boundaries the kids really need to learn discipline and good behaviour. Permissive parents might give in to their children. So if their child gets upset because they want another chocolate biscuit, a permissive parent will just give them another biscuit. Permissive parents aren't always great at setting consequences consequences and following through with actions. So they may say that a child's only allowed to have an hour of screen time, but then when it comes to the end of that hour, they don't follow through. Permissive parents don't always teach their child about how their own behaviour, their child's behaviour might be impacting others. So their child might hit or snatch or bite another child, and they don't intervene and then teach.
So hearing this a little bit more, I almost feel like my dad tended towards more of even permissive. And my mom was authoritative and authoritarian. But then when she got pissed, she would try to make my dad authoritarian. Like, we're going to whoop your ass if you don't start acting right.
Their child how to behave in a more appropriate way. Permissive parents don't always take into account their child's temperament or their stage of development, and they don't necessarily realise that children really do need those boundaries and structures at every developmental stage so that they can progress through those milestones and help their growth and development. Children who grow up with permissive parents can feel loved, but they can also lack self-discipline because they've never been taught discipline. They can lack those social skills about how to play well with others, and they can sometimes also be a bit anxious and insecure because the parents haven't set those boundaries for them. And when it comes to school, they may lack the structure and the focus and the boundaries that kids really need to be able to do well in their education. The disengaged parenting style combines the lack of love and warmth of the authoritarian parent and also the lack of discipline and structure of the permissive parent. Disengaged parents take little interest in their children and they don't really provide guidance and boundaries and structure that children need to learn. Disengaged parents might attend to their child's basic needs, but they won't necessarily meet their child's deeper needs. They tend to be a little bit more engrossed in their own life and their own needs, and they can sometimes be neglectful. They don't always provide the structure that children really need, like it's time to go to bed now, and it's time to do your homework, and it's time to cook a good meal and sit down and eat together. And they don't always provide the love, the affection, the cuddles the kids really need to thrive. Children who grow up with disengaged parents can be socially withdrawn because they haven't learned those social skills. They can be quite anxious and insecure because they haven't had the boundaries they need. They can also be out and about getting into trouble and hanging out with the wrong crowds and skipping school because they don't have someone looking out for them and supervising them and providing the guidance they really need. At school, their parents probably have very low expectations of them achieving, but also of even attending, which means the kids may be at school or they may not be. Disengaged parents aren't always there to help with their children with their homework, supervising how they're going, and really helping them to succeed at school. The parenting style that's best for children is the supportive style. It's a style where you're warm and you're loving and you're affectionate, but you also create structure and boundaries for your children and you guide their behaviour. You don't focus on punishment, you focus on guiding and teaching and helping them to learn good behaviour. Supportive parents really listen to their children, they ask them questions, they look at life from their point of view, they explain things, they have discussions, they allow their children into decision making. Supportive parents also allow their kids to grow and learn themselves. They let them gain independence and skills. They don't do everything for their children. We need to actually help our children to learn for themselves rather than being overprotective and doing everything for them. Supportive parents set boundaries, they follow through with consequences, and they do it pretty consistently, or as consistently as possible, because that's how children learn. They learn much more quickly the more consistent we are. Supportive parents are flexible, and when they're parenting, they really take into account the situation, the child's temperament, the child's stage of development, so that they can really be guiding their children's behaviour and making the right decisions at the time. Supportive parents really encourage children to have a go, take risks, and even make mistakes. And the best thing to do is to actually help children learn from those mistakes. So go through what happened, how they can do things better, and what they can learn from the situation. Children who grow up with supportive parents are self-confident, they feel capable, they're emotionally mature, they've got good social skills, and they enjoy better happiness and well-being, which really sets them well up for adulthood. And at school, they are really well supported, loved, and have structures in place to try their best and to really achieve. our parenting does really matter. We can have a really strong, positive, wonderful influence on our children's outcomes. So what's best for children? It's about being warm and loving and setting those boundaries, guiding their behaviour, and most of all enjoying your relationship, because really that's what parenting is all about, developing a strong and loving relationship with your child.
So that was a good little breakdown. And I want to offer some challenges to it also. And for example, a bad economy, a place where parents have to work 2.5 to 3.5 jobs to pay for everything. How easy do you guys think it is to be like warm, supportive, interactive, and all that? If like, you got both parents working a job and a half or almost 2 jobs. And it is hard because, that's the part where like how a bad economy can affect all of us. Like that ecological model that we started out with, the theory of the ecological model, looking at a holistic perspective. And I feel like in the 80s and 90s, it was easier to survive your kids off either a job and a half or even just 2 jobs until inflation hit really bad after the 1990s. And people have had to work more, and they're like, you have latchkey kids where they got to open up and do things themselves and cook for themselves and do their homework themselves. And just an observation, if that makes any sense. Have you guys noticed a shift at all where people have to or more occupied or busier or like distracted even with cell phones, electronics, or something? And then even with COVID, apparently that caused enough stress because everybody's in the same damn house, like putting up with each other. What's that?
They gave people a year to be connected with their
I know, right. It's true, yeah. So we went from that, like, we're 2.5 to 3.5 jobs to pay for you and your kids and all your bills to, if you weren't laid off, working from home and with the kid all the time. And hopefully, like you said, and my niece and I, she is your all's age. She actually just finished college. And so I guess she's 2 years older than some of y'all. And she's like, you realize that your mom and dad, that's the first time they've been married 50 years that they like had to stay a whole year at home together with each other. I'm like, I'm surprised they're not divorced yet. But they worked on the relationship. I know that they did their spirituality. They'd watch the church from home. They'd even pray together. And my dad said yesterday, Mom wants me to go back to work tomorrow. He's 75 years old. He'll turn 76 next month. And luckily he had a job he could do from home. He does like real estate zoning, like real estate law. And he's like, yeah, she's sick of me and wants to be able to take naps again and do what she wants. I'm like laughing about it, like, oh my God. So how did you guys take being at home with any parents or what you did during COVID? Did you? It kept you busy? Where'd you work at? Oh, okay. How far did you have to like drive or travel or? And would you go to their warehouse or did you deliver all the stuff too? Okay. They actually pay pretty good. And would they let you do like 40 hours a week? Dang. Okay. So you did that for like 6 months? Summer. Right. Well, because it would be hard to do school too, as you're so busy. There's no way you could do it. And then you're a sophomore now? Okay. Yeah. I'm kind of that way. Like when things get, like it got stressful and they cut us all as teachers a 5% pay cut. So that was stressful. So I picked up the private practice and working at hospice on the weekends because 5%, it might just seem like a little bit, and it was enough to keep Central State open or whatever. But that was a big deal. That was the difference between us being able to like go out once a month to like we didn't go out. We went out for her birthday and our 1-year wedding anniversary, and that's it, you know, instead of like eating out on the first Saturday of every month after we got paid or something. So yeah, there's like a shift. It's a little more stressful. Anybody else thoughts or observations about it? Because the parenting style is, we may even learn and like mimic what our parents do, even if we're so mad and hate like what our parents do. Like I'm not going to raise my kids that way, but that's the way we were brought up and taught and learned. So that's all we know how to do, and it would take change to move it forward and whatnot. As a parent, modeling is really important. Modeling appropriate behaviors, giving that positive reinforcement, you know, like remembering to use words of affirmation. Any of you guys ever heard of this book called The 5 Love Languages? They usually make you read it before you get married if you're like getting married at a church, and you learn what your love language is. There's 5 of them. It's like gift giving, physical touch, good quality time together. I'm not going to remember all 5. Acts of service, and something else. And usually you and your partner have different love languages, and you learn to both speak and receive your partner's love language. They also have the love languages of teenagers and kids, so learning how to speak that. But, you know, giving that positive reinforcement, practicing the skills, and then showing the different strategies to learn with kids is important. So I don't know if you guys are, let's see here. Any questions about the parenting styles? I get to go down in a few minutes to have the dude look at my knees for the knee surgery. And we'll see what that'll entail. I still did want to finish because I promised I would get into this, and this is kind of going along with what I said about coronavirus. It was good quality time with the parents that we were mentioning. At the same time, if there's lower socioeconomic status, SES is socioeconomic status, how much money your parents take home and whatnot, and if there is something of that nature. So these parents tend to be more authoritarian in their child raising practices. And some of the question to you guys, does this make lower income parents less desirable or effective? And some of the answers they give, like they may be facing more stress because they're working 80 hours a week or not making the bills. Many mothers are young and may not have received adequate prenatal care. Thus, babies are more difficult to care for. Like if they didn't have proper nutrition, or if you didn't sign up for WIC in time to get the proper food and milk and formula. Parents may feel that authoritarian parenting is necessary to protect their children from a tough environment. That's right. We went over ADHD, autism. Do you think you remember anybody from Bahamas that had observed autism, or you never heard of it in the Bahamas? You don't see many, right? Maybe it's like 1 in 100 in the Bahamas. In America, it's like 1 in 50. What's that? Do you think it's the same in the Bahamas? Or Shoot, I'm sorry, I'm not hearing you. Oh, Google it, right. Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like it's most pervasive in America, and I don't know if it's because we diagnose it more, if we see it more, but that is definitely an interesting. So, final review, parenting styles, authoritarian as restrictive, punitive style, low in warmth. The consequences of that one is social and cognitive capabilities are average and they're vulnerable to stress. Authoritative is they'll like negotiate with the children, they're high in warmth. Some consequences are that they have high social and cognitive capabilities and they're self reliant. So, those are kind of good consequences. Permissive is lax in control, maybe very involved, indulgent, or uninvolved and neglectful. So this is the bad one we saw a couple of times, that the consequences then are poor social and cognitive capabilities and low self-control. So, and we'll start up with the non-traditional families and also the core parenting practices of play, care, learn, and talk next time, as I know we're right up against the clock. I need to drive to, it's probably 10. Doesn't it? Nowadays they tell you like your leave time. Like if you leave now, you'll get to your doctor's appointment at 4:30. Maybe not. Huh. Hour and 11 minutes. Oh, wow. Okay. So, any questions? It is interesting as we kind of inherit these from our parents and often parent like our parents did sometimes, that's how we learned how to parent. Like, and I think that is all that I have for you guys. Good news is you don't have a discussion. Thank you for finding that out. I don't know how. I guess it may be just I put it up at a different time. So you won't have something for a week. Any of you presenting this month, I know I gave the choice for your mental health presentations. You can pick any time this month or next month. In March? Okay, cool. Perfect. Well, if you have any questions with that one, let me know. Oh, geez. Somebody wants to... What's that? Yes. What were you interested in for your topic? Oh, right. Okay, cool. Perfect. Good topic and a lot of good research on it. Is there a rubric for it? There might be. I can look. If there's not one, I can create one. But generally, I do know how.